Hey there, Rappies. Rapper9198 here. Welcome to another edition of Ryan's Day Reading. So, this video is a little bit differently because I'm starting a brand new book. And I decided that the new book should be... How to Train Your Dragon. So I thought I would do How to Train Your Dragon because in honor of the new live action movie coming out. So it's currently June 2025. So it's supposed to be coming out June 13th. So I thought in honor of that, I'll start reading the book. So this book is 19 chapters in total. There's a nice amount of pictures in the book here, so I'll kind of go through it all with you here. So I think without further ado, I'll just get started. So here we go with How to Train Your Dragon. Alrighty, so here we go. I'll get right into it here. Okay, so maybe a little bit before. Here's all the different characters. Yep, so we have Hiccup, Tough Nut Jr., Speedy Fist, Warthog, Dog's Breath the Dub Brain, Clueless, Fish Legs, and Snotlout. And then we have the table of contents, which I said before is 19 chapters total. And it's nice, these chapters actually have titles to them, which is nice. And then here, the next page, we have a whole map of the islands. Okay. Maybe it can help you kind of picture things in your head your own way. And then here's the main character, the hero, Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III. And then there's also a note from the hero, which I'll read as well. There were dragons when I was a boy. There were great, grim sky dragons that nested on the cliff tops like gigantic, scary birds. Little, brown, scuttly dragons that hunted down the mice and rats in well-organized packs. Preposterously huge sea dragons that were 20 times as big as the big blue whale and who killed for the fun of it. You will have to take my word for it, for the dragons are disappearing so fast they may soon become extinct. Nobody knows what's happening. They are crawling back into the sea from whence they came, leaving not a bone, not a fane in the earth for the men of the future to remember them by. So, in order that these amazing creatures should not be forgotten, I will tell this true story from my childhood. I was not the sort of boy who could train a dragon with a mere lifting of an eyebrow. I was not a natural at the heroism business. I had to work at it. This is the story of becoming a hero the hard way. So here we go with chapter 1. First, catch your dragon. Long ago, on the wild and windy Isle of Berk, a smallish Viking with a Lonnish name stood up to his ankles in snow. Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III, the hope and heir to the tribe of the Hairy Hooligans, had been feeling slightly sick ever since he woke up that morning. 10 boys, including Hiccup, were hoping to become full members of the tribe by passing the Dragon Initiation Program. They were standing on a bleak little beach at the bleakest spot on the whole bleak island. A heavy snow was falling. "Pay attention!" screamed Gobber the Belch, the soldier in charge of teaching initiation. "This will be your first military operation. And Hiccup will be commanding the team." "Aw, not Hiccup!" groaned Dog's Breath the Dub Brain and most of the other boys. You can't put Hiccup in charge, sir. He's useless. And then this is a picture of Gobber the Belch. Hiccup Horrendous Haddock III. The hope and heir to the tribe of the Hairy Hooligans wiped his nose miserably on his sleeve. He sank a little deeper into the snow. Anybody would be better than Hiccup, sneered Snot-Faced Snotlout. Even Fishlegs would be better than Hiccup. Fishlegs had a squint that made him as blind as a jellyfish and an allergy to reptiles. Silence! Roared Gobber the Belch. The next boy to speak has limpets for lunch for the next 3 weeks. There was absolute silence immediately. Limpets are a bit like worms and a bit like snot, and a lot less tasty than either. Hiccup will be in charge, and that is an order, screamed Gobber, who didn't do noises quieter than screaming. He was a 7-foot giant with a mad glint in his one working eye and a beard like exploding fireworks. Despite the freezing cold, he was wearing hairy shorts and a teeny-weeny deerskin vest that showed off his lobster-red skin and bulging muscles. He was holding a flaming torch in one gigantic fist. Hiccup will be leading you, although he is, admittedly, completely useless, because Hiccup is the son of the chief, and that's the way things go with us Vikings. Where do you think you are? The Republic of Rome? Anyway, that is the least of your problems today. You are here to prove yourself as a Viking hero, and it is an ancient tradition of the Hooligan tribe that you should, Gobbler paused dramatically, first catch your dragon. Oh, suffering scallops, thought Hiccup. Our dragons are what set us apart, bellowed Gobber. Lesser humans train hawks to hunt for them, horses to carry them. It is only the Viking heroes who dare to tame the wildest, most dangerous creatures on earth. Gobber spat solemnly into the snow. There are 3 parts to the dragon initiation test. The first and most dangerous part is a test of your courage and skill at burglary. If you wish to enter the Hairy Hooligan tribe, you must first catch your dragon. And that is why, continued Gobber at full volume, I have brought you to this scenic spot. Take a look at Wild Dragon Cliff itself. The 10 boys tipped their heads backwards. The cliff loomed dizzyingly high above them, black and sinister. In summer, you could barely even see the cliff as dragons of all shapes and sizes swarmed over it, snapping and biting and setting up a cacophony of noises that could be heard all over Berk. But in winter, the dragons were hibernating and the cliff fell silent, except for the ominous low rumble of their snores. Hiccup could feel the vibrations through his sandals. Now, said Gobber, do you notice those 4 caves about halfway up the cliff, grouped roughly in the shape of a skull? The boys nodded. Inside the cave, that would be the right eye of the skull, is the dragon nursery where they are. At this very moment, 3,000 young dragons having their last few weeks of winter sleep. Ooh, muttered the boys excitedly. Hiccup swallowed hard. He happened to know considerably more about dragons than anybody else there. Ever since he was a small boy, he'd been fascinated by the creatures. He had spent hour after long hour dragon watching in the street. Dragon spotters were thought to be geeks and nerds, hence the need for secrecy. And what Hiccup had learned about dragons told him that walking into a cave with 3,000 dragons in it was an act of madness. No one else seemed too concerned, however. In a few minutes, I want you to take one of these baskets and start climbing the cliff, commanded Gobber the Belch. Once you are at the cave entrance, you are on your own. I am too large to squeeze my way into the tunnels that lead to the dragon nursery. You will enter the cave quietly, and that means you too, Warty Hog, unless you want to become the first spring meal for these for 3,000 hungry dragons. Gobber laughed heartily at his little joke, then continued. Dragons this size are normally fairly harmless to man, but in these numbers, they will set upon you like piranhas. There'd be nothing left of even a fatso like you, Warty Hog. Just a pile of bones and your helmet. Ha 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 ha. So, you will walk quietly through the cave, and each boy will steal one sleeping dragon. Lift the dragon gently from the rock and place it in your basket. Any questions so far? Nobody had any questions. In the unlikely event that you do wake the dragons, and you would have to be idiotically stupid to do so, run like thunder for the entrance to the cave. Dragons do not like cold weather, and the snow will probably stop them in their tracks. Probably, thought Hiccup. Oh well, that's reassuring. I suggest that you spend a little time choosing your dragon. It is important to get one the correct size. This will be the dragon that hunts fish for you and pulls down deer for you. You will catch the dragon that will carry you into battle later on, when you are much older and a warrior of the tribe, but nonetheless, you want an impressive animal, so a rough guide would be choose the biggest creature that will fit into your basket. Don't linger for too long in there. Linger? Thought Hiccup. In a cave full of 3,000 sleeping dragons? I need not tell you, Gobber continued cheerfully, that if you return to this spot without a dragon, it is hardly worth coming back at all. Anybody who fails this task will be put into immediate exile. The Hairy Hooligan tribe has no use for failures. Only the strong can belong. Unhappily, Hiccup looked round at the distant horizon. Nothing but snow and sea as far as the eye could see. Exile didn't look too promising either. Right, said Gobbler briskly. Each boy take a basket to put their dragon in, and we'll get going. And so this is their basket. Yep. The boys rushed to get their baskets, chattering happily and excitedly. I'm going to get one of those monstrous nightmare ones with the extra extendable claws. They're really scary, boasted Snoutlout. Oh, shut up, Snoutlout, you can't, said Speedy Fist. Only Hiccup can have a monstrous nightmare. You have to be the son of the chief. Hiccup's father was Stoik the Vast, the fearsome chief of the Hairy Hooligan tribe. Hiccup? Sneered Snotlout. If he's as useless as he is at Bashy Ball, we'll be lucky if he even gets one of the basic browns. The basic brown was the most common type of dragon, a serviceable beast, but without much glamour. Shut up and get into line, you miserable tadpoles, yelled Gobber the Belch. The boys scrambled into their places, baskets on their backs, and stood to attention. Gobber walked along the line, lighting the torch that each boy held in front of him from the great flare in his hand. In half an hour's time, you will be a Viking warrior with your faithful serpent at your side. Let's see. And then also I'll read this part too. Yep. So Viking dragons and their eggs. The common or garden and the basic brown. The comic or garden and the basic brown are so similar that they can't be dealt with together. These are the most familiar breeds. The ones we instantly think of when we say dragons. Yeah, dragons. They are poor hunters, but they are easy to train. These dragons are the best kind for family pets, although, as with a lion or a tiger, they should never be left unsupervised with very young children. Statistics, colors, green and yellow, all shades of brown. Armed with basic teeth and claws, 3. Defenses, prickly spines, 2. Okay. Radar, none. Poison, none. Hunting ability, lethargic hunters. 3. Speed, swift and retreat. 8. And fear and fight factor, good when angry. 4. Or breakfasting with Woden in Valhalla with dragon's teeth in your bottom. So, in half an hour's time, you will be a Viking warrior with your faithful serpent at your side, or breakfasting with Woden in Valhalla with dragon's teeth in your bottom. Screamed Gobber with horrible enthusiasm. Death or glory, yelled Gobber. Death or glory, yelled 8 boys back at him fanatically. Death, death, thought Hiccup and Fishleg sadly. Gobber paused dramatically, with the horn to his lips. I think this could possibly be the worst moment of my life. So far, thought Hiccup to himself, as he waited for the blast of the horn. And if they shout much louder, we're going to wake up those dragons before we even start. Perp! Gobbler blew the horn. Yep. And here's a picture. More pictures of them, the gang of the tribe. And that actually concludes chapter 1. All right. Well, I think that's a good start. I think this is going to be a good book. Alrighty, Rappies. Well, thank you so very much. Hope you guys really enjoyed this one. Stay tuned next time as we go into chapter 2, Inside the Dragon Nursery. All right. Thank you, Rappies, very much. Love you all to death, and God bless. All right. I'll see you next time.